Hello, listeners. Welcome to a new episode of Rodian's China Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Rodian Lai. In this podcast, I talk about everything about traveling in China, from how to get a visa to how to pay in China, and all the way to where to visit in China. If you've never been to China, it's absolutely normal that you might feel a bit confused or completely lost, considering the vastly different cultures. After all, it may well be a completely different cultural experience for you. But I want to say that you're deciding to visit in China, no matter for tourist reasons or business reasons, shows that you are very curious, brave, and willing to embrace new changes. So huge kudos to you. I will tell whatever I know to help you enjoy the trip even more and explore all the beauty that China has to offer. And today, I'm talking about visa. Specifically, I want to talk about China's 72 or 144-hour visa-free transit policy. I have made a YouTube video about this and many people have watched that. But still, I receive lots of questions about the visa-free policy. I get this impression that many people have misunderstood this concept. So here's the thing. This policy means that if you satisfy all the requirements, you don't need any visa to enter China. This is not a visa, but rather exempts foreigners from all the hassle of applying for a visa. Obviously, the government wants to attract more foreign tourists by simplifying the process in order to stimulate the economy, create more jobs, etc. It's not a visa, I'm emphasizing again, it's not a visa, it's a visa exemption policy. So this policy is called 72 or 144-hour visa-free policy. 72 or 144, why? So whether you can stay in China for 72 or 144 hours without a visa depends on where in China you are visiting. You can spend 72 hours in Hunan province, where you can admire the view of Avatar Mountains in Zhangjiajie, Guangxi province, and also Heilongjiang province, where you can celebrate the Ice and Snow Festival in Harbin. Apart from these three provinces, you can spend 144 hours in almost every other provinces, including Guangdong, Chongqing, and Shaanxi, etc. And you should note that the countdown for when you need to leave China begins at 12 a.m. midnight, after the day you enter China. I'm not very good at math, but for example, if you enter Shanghai on November the 1st, then your flight from China to the next destination should be no later than November 7th. And of course, any policy has its limitations. For this 144-hour visa exemption policy, what you need to confirm first and foremost is whether you are a passport holder of the 54 countries included in this policy. There are 40 countries in Europe, including Austria, Denmark, Italy, and France, 6 in North and South America, which are the US, Canada, Brazil, Mexico, Argentina, and Chile, 2 in Oceania, namely Australia and New Zealand, 6 in Asia, which are South Korea, Japan, Singapore, Brunei, UAE, and Qatar. So, do confirm this first. If you're not from any of these countries or regions, unfortunately, this policy is not applicable to you at the moment. And if you have one or multiple passports of these countries, you don't necessarily need to fly from these countries to China. For example, you are a passport holder of Russia, then you can fly from UK to Chongqing and then to Singapore. It's okay because you have a passport of Russia. Essentially, this policy is for you to transit through China, and because of this, the two countries before and after China can't be the same. For example, it doesn't work if your flight is from UK to Shanghai and then back to UK. You will only transit through China for 144 hours visa-free successfully when the next destination is different from the country right before China. So a right route, for instance, will be from UK to Shanghai and then to UK, and then back to UK. Yes, you can take Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan as a refreshing point, and of course, you can fly to any other regions or countries before heading back home. So another example would be German, Beijing, Japan, and then back to German. Anyways, the two regions right next to China can't be the same. You don't necessarily need an interlining ticket from country A to China and then to country B. You can book two separate tickets, one from country A to China and the other one from China to country B. Another question people ask a lot is whether they can visit multiple cities within China. Well, let me put this way. According to this policy, China consists of multiple larger regions. For example, the three provinces of Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei are in the same region. Shanghai, Jiangsu, and Zhejiang are in the same region. To enjoy a 144-hour visa-free stay in China, make sure that you are staying in one single region and don't book flights within China. For example, your flight is from France to Shanghai and to Japan. Then you don't want to book flights within China. But you can, for example, take a train from Shanghai to Hangzhou, a city in Zhejiang province, and then back to Shanghai, because Shanghai and Zhejiang are in the same region as described by the policy. Likewise, if you want to take advantage of this policy and explore Chongqing, then you are only gonna stay in Chongqing. Although I've heard news that Chongqing is planning to be tied with Sichuan province to form a larger region, which means in the future tourists will have more freedom in terms of where they can stay. Also, apart from taking a plane, you can enter the Chinese border control by train or by boat. For example, you can take a cruise and enter through the Lianyungang port in Jiangsu and then explore the region of Shanghai, Jiangsu, and Zhejiang. Or you can go on a cruise to Wenzhou port and enter Fujian province, where you can check out the famous Tulou. Or you can take a boat from Hong Kong to the port of Shekou in Shenzhen and enter Guangdong province, which includes cities like Shenzhen, Guangzhou, and Jieyang. Also, people ask me whether the 144 visa-free policy is still applicable when they enter China for the second or third time. The answer is yes. You can enter China multiple times with this policy. A common practice would be, like I said, taking Hong Kong, Macau, or Taiwan as a refreshing point. For example, your journey could look like this. You leave the United States and arrive at Guangzhou. After staying for 6 days, you fly from Guangzhou to Hong Kong. And then again, you enter Shanghai after a flight from Hong Kong. You spend another 6 days in Shanghai, and finally, you fly back to the US. Another example would be Canada, Xi'an, Japan, Shenzhen, and back to Canada. Having said all this, let me tell you what you should have on hand before entering the border control. First, of course, you need your passport, which must be valid for at least 3 months. And again, make sure you are from one of the countries as listed in the policy description. Second, you are expected to have already booked a flight ticket from mainland China to another country or region, like I already mentioned. After you finally land in China, in an airport or a shipping port, look for signs that read 72 or 144-hour visa-free transit. Then you will need to show your passport and your ticket for the next leg of your journey, and your journey to China begins from there. And that's it for today. Let me know if you have more questions about this visa-free policy. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time. Bye.